So yeah, in spirituality, we always talk about this union, not one before the other, in and out, up and down, as above, so below. There is this concept, right, of we've been working in our Trinity, so we're doing our absolute best to work in our mind, our human body, and our human experience, so as well as our spirit. So we're trying to very equally work in all of these pillars so that we're not behind anywhere within our transformation or development. And one of the beautiful things about a brother that I've been having conversations with is he's so developed and he's human, and this is something I don't see very much of around, because when one starts to go on their spiritual journey, they can often bypass their human experience and their human there's phases, right? So when you start to awaken, you tend to go up into the zoomed out, and so your human gets a little disassociated from, or the emotional needs, or there's all this deconditioning and letting go of attachments, and not wanting to be a certain aspect of what made you the conditioned, programmed human that you are. And so there's this stepping out of that and experiencing the higher states of consciousness, or what some would consider the awakening aspects, the ascension. And then you have others that choose to descend or focus only on their trauma, their shadow work, their darkness. They're in the mud, they're transmuting the densities, and they can sometimes lose sight of these higher realms of connection. And it's important to do both, right? And to try our best when we have the information and the awareness not to do these ones, because it's quite turbulent on the nervous system, the human experience. But in that, there's an interesting awareness of myself at the moment. There's been quite a bit of I guess there's been quite a bit of focus on the body in relation to the physical, and from that lens of, the consciousness or the spirit that I am, even though I am in this wholeness with my body now, and there's no separation, there still is the paradox of this entire expression of life, is that my body is not separate from me. I am my body. I love my body. My body's expression is my expression, and that mergence has taken place. But there is also this layer of the consciousness is interpreting what the body still requires to move and shift, to alchemize into a higher octave and to hold that. But the reverse of what we did in that drop-in of, oh, hang on, I also have needs from my body. That's the human aspect, right? So it's like the spirit aspect, or there's higher zoomed out lens, is this looking at the body and going, okay, body, let's clear these beliefs, and let's clear this ancestral trauma and this past life aspect that's sitting in my organs, or the pain in my wrist, and I'm witnessing, I'm listening, I hear you. Okay, how can we work together to release that? And that's usually how we focus with our body, often is that way, right? Is that we look at it from that perspective lens. But what about the body speaking back to you? What do you need from your body? What do you need in relation to your human? And where I'm going to try and weave that into this class, because this specific lesson is around values and beliefs. There is I don't think we've done it, but if we have, someone please let me know in the group chat. There is the claiming of the human being. So we claim our spirit, we claim our gifts, we claim our multidimensional, we claim all of these amazing points of expression. But how often is it that we actually claim our human, our physical expression in this tangible reality that is here? And so that's a part of that, right? It's like your cells are a consciousness that supports you as a human. What is your need for that, for your human experience in that way? So it could be something, and one of the questions, if you may have already noticed that I'm pretty good at, like, I have been, I can't actually do it anymore, but there was a big period of time where I was like, there's no space for you, human. I've got shit to do. Like, it was like really like this, go stand over there, because we've got so many things here that we need to alchemize. There was disconnections from my human's needs, my human's expression, and which is really funny because one of my fears was being not human enough that people couldn't relate to me, which was, it's funny enough to recognize the way these things play out. But there was this, like, I really didn't like my human. My human got in the way of my mission and my purpose, really. She was a hot mess. And I needed space to go through massive initiations very quickly, and there just wasn't room for her. And so we, when there was the integration and the recognition of that, and bringing her, spirit to form, which is higher monadic self to human being, that I was like, oh, okay, we've really got some work on my human in this way of, like, I know how my human functions, I know her traumas, I know all that, but there's a new level of awareness of what is required to claim my human and to merge the gap and to bridge that gap so that they can become one. And so in that, there are very physical, tangible human needs and experiences, and they talk about it in consciousness, that the only real needs of a human is shelter, food, water, and companionship, and that those are the real needs of the human being. And at this point in our reality, I would have to say that that's true, right? I don't know anyone that's transcended all four of those. Maybe one, people can transcend and they can live off the chi from the sun, so they may not need food, but they still drink water and they still co-regulate with people, and I'm sure that they feed, not in that way, but they would feed their selves through their connections with others and different experiences in those ways. So it's you can't completely defy the reality that we live in. You can accept it and you can transcend its attachments and its stories, but the very real truth of this reality is that we're human, and we came here to be human, and we came here to experience our purpose and have it all, and to merge all of our lives, and that is just as important. And to have a happy human experience, we need to know our core values. So that's what this lesson specifically is about, is core values and the beliefs that come attached to core values, because that's where the stickiness comes in. And we're going to use it as a bit of a way of, like, where do I deny my human and not claim my human? Where do I not allow my human needs to be, like, really acknowledged in, if I'm doing this work, I'm showing up every day for myself, and you may love it. Like, I love it. These insights of greater, higher states of consciousness and unlocked gifts and remembrance and all of that. Like, you may really love that and really enjoy that it's enough. But how do you see the human aspect of you, of, yes, I am a spiritual being here with a mission to assist humanity, but I'm also my own individual self that has my own desires for this life. Like, what is it that I truly desire? That doesn't even have to be connected. I mean, they're mostly interconnected, but if you let go of the idea that it's connected to your purpose, and then see how it actually is contribution to your purpose as well, they aren't separate. But if you can see that it's okay to just want stuff, it's okay to just enjoy things, it's okay to have these recognitions of, I don't need a story as to why this is something that I need or want in my life. I just know that this brings joy, or this brings, we feel like we need to rationalize everything. We feel like we need to justify everything. So it's like, if I want, and we will say I want, if I want to go and experience some sort of adventure, or I want to go buy a specific dress, or I want to go and get my hair done, there's this story that we need to have a reason why we're doing it, like self-love, or I need to rebrand myself, or I need to embody this frequency. And there's all these rationales that we have, rather than I just want it because it feels good, because I desire it, and I don't have to have a narrative around any of it. And yes, we know that through this, and every single one of you has transcended this point of your experience, and that's why it's okay, that's an old story, I don't need to keep putting that on my new experience, is the story of the false mask of confidence, right? The materialism of the ego construct, the aspects of comparison or proving myself through things like that, because none of you are at that point of your own experience. There might be some little points where you think you are, but those things are not a part of your being now. So it's like those narratives don't fit. If there's something that you're desiring or you're called to, it's because it's showing you something completely different around yourself. And I would say that there is a level of non-attachment as an overall that is being created in the amount of consciousness and awareness and remembrance that you have. And it's a byproduct, right? It's like, yeah, I actually know I don't need any of these things, and I'm not pretending to be something that I'm not, because I know who I am, right? That threshold shifts. So in that, giving yourself permission to have some human needs and wants in this moment, and maybe there's some things that are popping up that you might want to write down as to, like, what do you feel you do need in this moment to support your mission, your experience. I need to get out of Phuket, Thailand. Just saying. It's beautiful here, but not for me, not for my nervous system, not for my body, not for my being. I've definitely learned a lot though, right? So if I can say this is what I mean, not one before the other, is that I had a little bit of a tantrum on I don't even know what day it is. It might have been Saturday, where it was very profound. It was exactly what I needed to have happen, as it always is. It's been a lot being on this land. It's very different. So the land is important, and yet we also need to recognize it's like that statement, be in the world but not of the world, right? So it's like separating ourselves from collective consciousness, but also realizing that we're a part of the collective consciousness. So it's like, I'm not going to take on humanity's stuff, but I am a part of creating the collective consciousness. And that concept is the same thing we were just doing with like my human needs and my human body's needs from my spirit and from my soul. So land is really, really, really important to recognize, and they talk about this in Ayurvedic, like doshas and your different cellular structure, which is your, I think, is it called composition? No, it starts with C. Constitution, maybe. But what makes up your physical body in regards to like the elements that make you up. So whether you're more fiery, whether you've got a bit more air or water or earth, so all of those different expressions that make up your physical body, mostly that's pretty unchangeable because you've come in with a specific coding, a specific genetics, specific vessel that you know will hold your frequency and support you. And so your cellular structure, not only will that, and this is the most simple, I love men because men are so simple. I was like, oh, you just explained something that I'm going to be using in my teachings. It was amazing, right? So you've got a cellular structure. Each and every one of us has this physical makeup that we've chosen to help our soul and our spirit have this experience. And then, so Kat over here has this. I have this over here. We may have a specific resonance because there might be a commonality and the similarity. That we could weave and dance I believe we probably could, Kat, weave and dance quite easily and effortlessly through life because there's actually quite a lot of similarities in energy, right? So there's not too much contrasting frequencies just from the mind, body, soul aspect. But if I was to say, connect in with someone who had a lot of fire element, because I'm quite watery and airy, I actually don't have very much fire in my being at all. I have a mixture of like water, air, and earth. Small amount of earth to just sort of bring me into this reality. But if I was with a really fiery expression, and that fire and water and air, if you think of those as the known dynamics, that's not going to create, your water and your air is going to blow out the fire. It's not something that actually creates more. It gets a bit like, this just actually doesn't work. It's not symbiosis. There's no symbiosis here. I'm 0% fire. That's funny. But yeah, there's not a compatibility, right? So that's just from the relationship standpoint of compatibility with a human being, right? So if you're looking at friendships, you might find certain people you can be with for a period, right? You can try and make fire and water work. You might just have a few sprinkles and then it has to reburn, and you get the idea. But if you really think about different relationships and connections that flow and alchemize and work well, it's because they expand and they, create more. Fire and fire would, create a bigger heat, which also, depending on the other elements, you want to make sure that it doesn't get too hot and that there's no explosive burning down of the experience. But that assists you to sort of navigate connections in such a simplistic way of the elements. Now the land is no different. Where we've chosen to be and where we grew up, where we were born often, not necessarily where you grew up, but where you were born, holds key information to the land that is supportive to your physical body, that is supportive to your brain's functions, to your nervous system, and the kind of environment of that land can often tell you a lot about what would be helpful for you as to why you came in. Now, looking at different lands and where you've traveled and where you felt like the land really holds and supports you, where you feel like you're able to be in flow, and this has to do with your chakra systems and where you function from as well. So this is more of the multi-dimensionality of it. So in Australia there's a place called Airlie Beach. Airlie Beach is like an ascension portal. It is so high vibrational, and it's got its own like little vortex of frequency, and so it's very much like a third eye. It's more of a crown chakra energy on that land. Now, people that go to that don't realize, they will disassociate, and like it really does affect the environment. Because I'm so crown chakra dominant, I go there and I'm so out of, like, I actually really struggle. I love it because I'm so high. Everything feels light and amazing, but I can only be there for a period of time, and I actually have to leave because it's not supportive to my, I can't keep ascending. And I am not productive in a space like that. I can't write. I can't ground anything in. I can't land my communication. So if we are aware of those things, that's something that's really important. I'm very, like, my main chakras are my crown and my heart. Now, just sit and reflect on where your main chakras, or where you feel your most dominant chakras are, so that you can have a bit of an awareness of that, because that will assist you to know why certain land is helpful or why it isn't. If you don't know Ayurveda or different things, your constitution, you don't need to look at any modalities. Can't believe I just did that. Ask yourself what your main constitutions and your elements are, so that you can have an awareness of, like, what is your, are you mostly sitting in air and earth, and what does that look like for you? So you'll find that different land will be supportive based on your dominant chakras, but also your elements. So because I am such a wet constitution, so my skin is very oily, I have my cells have, I hold a lot more fluid inside my body, like whether you want to call it water retention or I just have more liquid. I have more liquid and lubrication in my body than some. And so being in a place like Thailand, where it's raining and hot and there's a humidity, my body starts going, and it will create things. I've got a fungal infection at the moment on my skin that only ever comes out in tropics. And so it's not related to anything other than my body not functioning in this weather system. And we could be like, oh, I need to get rid of it. What is it? But it's just that the resonance and the support of the physical, real, true reality is not helpful. So there's different things there that are really, really great to look at. When I was in Mackay, which is where I stayed for 10 years, in my dark descent into awakening, Mackay is a dissension portal. So Airlie Beach, the one that I was saying, the crown, is like, it's polarity. So you've got a crown chakra and you've got like an earth star chakra. I wouldn't even say you have a root chakra. It's like an underworld chakra. And in that space, if you understand these things, you see there is so much addiction, there is so much separation, family. It's like one of the main places of Australia of a divorce rate, domestic violence, like all of the things. It's like it is one of those ghetto-like places that holds that consciousness. So for me, I can't do either pole, like with my frequency, because I have such a strong heart that I need something that is more balanced. So if I'm looking at land as well as constitution, it's all right, what supports my heart chakra, being that my heart chakra is one of my dominant centers, is that I'm gonna need to be working on land that's working within this range of my chakra system. So my throat, my heart, and my solar plexus as a long-term supportive experience. It doesn't mean that we can't go and visit these places. It doesn't mean that we can't experience. It's just there's a lot of awareness of, okay, how long can I stay here, because I'm probably not going to be in the most symbiosis to what is natural and harmonic to who I am. And if I'm going to somewhere that's very high and I'm high and I'm going to be up here, I'm going to have to really focus every single day on connecting to the earth, connecting to the root, connecting to the earth, connecting to the root, and alchemizing and balancing that, and then vice versa, obviously, from the other end. So that on the earth land, but then also you can see how that would affect in relationships as well. And something that I've been reflecting a lot on in relationship is the compatibility and stepping out of the illusion of a relationship. So I know, okay, this is just an initiation, this is just a temporary thing, this is actually not supportive to a long-term relationship because of X, Y, and Z. And it doesn't matter, like there's no, we can dance and we can be in this space, but if you're one, you know, we look at the human lens of things, of your values, which we're about to go into, your values are the complete flip to my values. Now, this was my marriage. My husband had these specific values, and mine were here. And one of us had to abandon ourselves to make life work because they were so polarizing. And we couldn't, we didn't have tools, we didn't have understanding, but it never would have worked because his desired experience was so far from my desired experience that we would, if it was to work, you would have to be okay with having, this is my life, this is your life, and sometimes we hang out together and we have love, but then we go do our own thing. That's the only way you can make a relationship like that work, is actually I don't need to create with you. I'm going to have my house, you can have your house. Things like diet, you know. My constitution is vegan, you're a full carnivore, right? So how are we going to make that work? All right, well, when we come together, you can cook your meal and I'll cook my meal, and we can make that an experience. But as a long-term sustainable thing, that could be frustrating in finances, in you know, and it's forcing. It can often feel like forcing something to alchemize when it's just not going to. And Teal Swan's great for that. She has some really great things around relationship and compatibility and seeing the truth of reality in those ways, if it's something that you want to explore a little bit more about and make sense of.